All right, so we're back here on another Overreaction Monday. We are here, and man, it is a victory Monday across the board here, fellas. What's going on, Mo?
Hey, I had to live my first Monday in a while last week off of a loss, but we're back. It doesn't
Yeah,
last long over there. And what you call it, the Arlington football team.
yeah, in Arlington, yeah.
It's new, but that ain't gonna last long. We don't stay in the
Hey,
loss column too long. We had to bounce back. 40-point victory, by the way, one of the biggest
yeah,
victories of the year. Period of all teams. Us and I think Buffalo have the
yeah,
largest margin of victory this year. I just want to throw that out there.
yeah, and yeah, throw in New England. Unfortunately, at this point,
Oh yeah,
almost, yeah,
I forgot about that.
right.
They beat the Jets like that or something. They beat the Jets like that, didn't they?
um, oh yeah, they did. It was like what 53-14 or something like that a
Yeah, it
few
was
weeks
bad.
ago.
It was bad.
But then, right, and Kenneth once again, what's going on, Kenneth?
I mean, I wish that some of these games were closer yesterday, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, it felt like, damn, two-thirds of these games are done at halftime or like early third quarter. Like, I like some exciting games down the stretch. And
Okay.
we didn't get many of those, especially in the late window. Like, it felt like, oh, damn, that team's up 20
Oh
already.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I wish that they were closer as all.
And that'd be an old man, but actually, one of the San Diego, well, L.A. Chargers and Vikings, they actually came on the radio. That was kind of interesting listening to that on the radio.
Wow.
Don't at me,
That was
guys.
one of the better. That was one of the better games played, if not the best game
Yeah.
played, as far as just math. Just even down to the wire.
Hmm.
That was one of the better games played all day.
But yeah,
Honestly,
and plus, Kenneth, I thought only one team played at 1 o'clock yesterday. I don't remember anything else.
Oh, man. Like,
it's sorry for you.
I will double down on my apology though. Of I'm sorry
No.
to the Washington football team fans for completely counting them out of that game. So
I
shout out
think
to them for
you,
picking
me,
up a
and the
big
rest of
win.
the world, bro. I think like you, me, and the rest of the world. Actually, Couch Coach didn't even when we did the picks on See You
Yeah,
Sunday. He didn't
yeah,
Yeah,
even
he didn't
yeah.
pick
I
him.
had
He didn't
I
pick
had to
him
pick him.
either.
He
But
all raw. He
but
all
but
raw.
how
We
could
do.
you? Because even
Right.
if you do, it's a lose
be a
lose.
homer pick.
Because
Yeah,
Right.
like
because if you lose, then everyone's like, oh, okay, we figured that you were gonna lose and you're an idiot for taking them. And then even if they win, then everyone's like, okay, you're being a homer anyways. So like it's not
yeah,
real analysis.
yeah.
And
That's just
what
kind of the
and
way it goes.
right. And what happened was we and initially in the beginning of the season we did, but then we start seeing these trends of this team can't score, this defense can show up to play. So I mean, like now we think it's sitting here in November, and we talk about baby steps 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
you think we was gonna take them over Tampa Bay? No, our credibility would be shot.
But what's crazy just about that game? You know what's crazy is
Yeah.
that as bad as Tampa look, the one thing they do really they still stop the run. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
still stop the run. Nobody can run
Yeah.
on Tim. Now, granted, Gibson had what 2 touchdowns, but
Yeah.
they were in the red zone in the 10.
Hmm.
I think he had a good
But
game, but
yeah.
nobody can run on that defense. Like I don't
Yeah.
care who it is. I kept trying to call run plays, and I'm like, hey, watch they gonna mess up and give up this game because they keep trying to run the ball, and it ain't gonna happen. Like nobody runs on
Yeah.
Tampa. But it sounds weird to put it in Heineke's hands to win the game. I get it. Like, do you really?
Yeah.
Does that sound like a recipe for winning? I do understand that.
And you know what? And I wore my the Legend Taylor Heineke continue shirt, and I'm thinking I'm gonna wear that for the rest of the year. I don't even gonna watch it, bro.
Hey, Couch Coach victory outfit. Couch Coach's victory outfit today. He came clean. He's the hoodie. You know what? I'm getting the button up. I'm in the plaid. Like, yeah.
You probably went and got the beard trimmed and everything. He's like, this might be my last victory Monday. So like, I'm gonna look good for this.
Hey, I look good on overreaction.
Hey man, I tell you, man, these things don't happen that often for us. So man, you gotta relish in these type of victories, man. Small victories. So, fellas, speaking of victories, your biggest winners. Kenneth, I'm gonna go. Who's your biggest winner this week?
This might be a first in Overreaction Monday history. The winner for me this week is the Cincinnati Bengals, and they didn't even play a football game.
Oh, I
Seriously,
thought you were gonna say
like,
something.
really think about this. So if you were a Cincinnati Bengals fan going into the week, you see that Baltimore's got Miami, Pittsburgh's got Detroit, Cleveland and New England. You're like, okay, division's probably picking up 2 wins at minimum, potentially 3. You get the Thursday nighter with Baltimore essentially no showing against Miami. So that's a big win for them in the overall picture of this division. Then you get a tie between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Detroit Lions in one of the worst football games I've ever watched. Jared Goff at one point had like 11 passing yards at like halftime. Like, it was absolutely ugly. Mason Rudolph didn't look any better either. So like his counterpart didn't exactly outshine him there. And then Cleveland gets the brakes beat off them. Like, not even, it wasn't close for any point of that game. Like, New England just beat them like they stole something. And if you're Cincinnati, you're sitting there like, I feel pretty good now moving forward. Like, we've had a couple tough weeks here. Now, Browns are below us in the division. Pitt has the tie, but we currently have probably the edge overall, I would say, between these two teams, especially if Big Ben misses next week because he's got COVID. And then Baltimore's only a game ahead of you. Like, it's crazy to have a bye week team, but when you look at this division, how close it's been, and then to get all that help this week in that division, I got the Bengals as a winner this week. Why not? Overreaction Monday first.
Hey, shout out to the bad teams. Mo, what you got?
So I got a couple, but the one I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on. We have to put, like, because this might be the only time we get to put them in Overreaction Monday as the biggest winner. We got to put Detroit Lions, okay? They didn't lose. They got half a victory, which is more than they've gotten all season. They're not going to be the first team to go 0-17 in NFL 17-game history. They got half a victory, and it finally paid off a little bit, all the close games and close calls that they've come down to, where they could have about 2 wins in closer games or whatever, and it finally pays off that it ends in a tie. So in Detroit fashion, they still can't get the full-blown win, but they got half a victory. So they got to go there. I got to say, I got to say the Carolina Panthers. I got to say Joe Brady in the Carolina Panthers. We know what he did at LSU as an offensive coordinator, as the quarterback's coach. You saw the improvement of Joe Burrow while he was there at LSU. You saw the plethora of weapons he had, so it made his success at LSU easier. But now he has a dynamic quarterback, and I get it. I mean, Sam Darnold was playing absolutely trash prior to injury. So we can, I think, all assume Cam is not going to play worst. Like at the end of the day, he's only going to play just as bad as Sam Darnold. It doesn't really get much worse than the way Sam Darnold was playing prior to injury. So with him being dynamic, we saw it. They wanted to get Cam on the field. They wanted to give that team a spark. And boom, like, what better than Cam doesn't have to know a single play on the team. He could come in on Thursday and we'll get him in the end zone on Sunday off of the fact of putting him where he can run the ball on the goal line. Sam Darnold doesn't get that touchdown. PJ Walker probably doesn't get that touchdown. That was a big man. That was a big man touchdown. Had to break some contact, ultimately to march it to the end zone. So I think, like, this week, first off, Cam gets to face Ron Rivera, that's kind of big that, former coach, former player, former MVP faces his former coach. But I just think, I think they're going to hit the drawing board. I think this will probably be one of the hardest working weeks of practice for Cam Newton, probably prior to the week preparing for the Super Bowl, as far as really wanting to get this playbook down, really wanting to be versatile and how they can use them, because they said he's going to get a lot of first-team reps. So I think they have to be a biggest winner when things all looked, they're coming off a huge victory against the Cardinals. Huge, huge victory. I know Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins didn't play, but this was a can't-lose game, for Carolina. So at the end of the day, they had to win that game. They won big. Cam brought, that was the most excitement we've seen from that Carolina Panthers sideline in a long time this year. And it is just, he does that. His energy, his aura does that. So I got to say they got to be one of the biggest winners too, is Cam Newton, Carolina, and Joe Brady. Because who knows what you're going to see from them moving forward. And what we saw in preseason, Cam Newton's arm ain't dead. Like, we saw him make some great throws. It was a legit, whether he really had a chance to start, it was a legit quarterback competition as far as anybody analyzing who really deserves to start. Cam Newton had looked amazing. Had a game where he was 10 for 11. Like, he still could throw the ball. Said he was feeling healthy coming into the season. So now that he's going to learn that playbook, and Joe Brady going to have some time, only a week, but he's still going to have some time to get him acclimated to that offense, and Matt Rule will get some time with him, and DJ Moore already, he already has time with Cam Newton and Robbie Anderson. They click tight. I know they work out in the offseason, so they have some rapport. obviously CMC and play with Cam Newton. So it's not like he's throwing to a whole bunch of new weapons. So I think you might see some good things from Carolina moving forward. Me and Kenneth might have to jump back on the train. Like we might have to jump back on the train. Panthers going to.
I don't hop back on. Once I'm off, my fat ass ain't chasing down no bandwagon. Like I'm taking a seat. I'm sitting this one out.
Yeah, I definitely like what the Panthers did, and that's another thing. They added another dimension to that team where that goal line, because it's almost like pick your poison. All right, you think about CMC, now you think about Cam as also as a threat as well. So yeah, like I said, it's definitely innovative, and that just goes to show you coaching is a difference. People keep on saying, "Oh, he fell off this and third." You could, you can find ways to plug players that you want. Simple as that. And one of the things where it's just like, don't burn bridges. Cam Newton definitely shows you, hey, because this is the same regime that got rid of him. And then luckily they got him back. I think the biggest win has got to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I think just a simple fact of them just now kind of finding their groove. A divisional road game at that on prime time, I think 41-14, regardless of who they play. Hell, if it was even the Detroit Lions, it would have been a hell of a win for them. Just for the simple fact of they just got themselves together. Patrick Mahomes, wow! I mean, what a game he had. I think he had 406 yards and like 5 touchdowns. And like you said, they really definitely using Williams very effectively. Now I think now they kind of getting their footing in. And we thought that this Kansas City Chiefs team was dead in the water. Now they're leading the AFC West, and now is a very competitive division to say the least. And hey, I mean, you'll find out this week. You gonna find out this week, brother.
I've been on the Chiefs train as far as saying just count them out. It's first half of the season.
Yeah,
teams were great players, so I'm with you there.
Yeah,
but I still think I can't say that the Chiefs will be the biggest winners until they win this weekend. They beat the Giants 20-17. It took them, down to the wire to beat the Giants. They beat Aaron Rodgers' Packers with Jordan Love playing absolutely terrible 13-7. Yes, they had a big win against the Raiders, but we see all the turmoil and it's bound to happen. This is what the Raiders do. I don't think anything solidified.
This is the divisional game. So it don't matter about the Giants and the Packers because that really doesn't gonna matter in the scheme of things when it comes to December, January, when it's time to clinch that division.
But I think they're only a winner because they won a divisional game. But it's only because, okay, so if you drop that game, to the Raiders, then you're in significant trouble in your division. Right. Like significant trouble because the Chargers got the tiebreaker on you so far, and then so would the Raiders. I'm just saying that would then put the Chiefs at 5-5. The Raiders would be a game up on them. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that they're the biggest winner, but they are winners this week.
Was a great win. I'm not taking away from the win. I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying about the biggest part.
Because of the win, it's like they're back. And it's like, okay, let's pump the brakes on a 3-game win streak. Looked amazing for you to say that, but we kill every other team for winning games against like nobody's giving credit for Dallas for bouncing back, beating Atlanta by 40. You know why? Because Atlanta's bad, so nobody cares. Raiders do this in the second half of the season. They turn from a good team to a bad team. They did it last year. This is the demise of the Raiders. I get, but the significance, yes. But I think, to me, the Chiefs have to win this weekend against.
I get what you're saying. They're winners.
But we just talking in the context of the week. Because I had Carolina, but I'm not going to go with Carolina. But I look at, if I had to do, obviously Washington, we led with Washington. Carolina, obviously, but then Kansas City was like the third biggest winner. Because even just for this week and this week only, hey, you get a quality road victory like that, a divisional game, which is going to help you bold. Because like you said, they already lost the Chargers already. So they would have been dead in the water. If they, in this case, I think in my personal opinion, if they wouldn't have won this game, potentially. Not dead in the water, but yeah.
Because I'll say it, I copped out by taking a team that was on a bye week. If we're talking about a team that played this week that's a big winner, Minnesota as well. Because Minnesota loses that game, they're dead in the water. Beyond dead in the water at that point. Now this gets them to a point where, you look at that NFC wildcard picture, the teams ahead of them. They've currently got Carolina ahead of them, who yeah, they had a great win, but like, do we really trust them long term? Probably not yet, given the way that they've played recently. Then you got the Saints, Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill, like not
Right.
exactly inspiring confidence ahead of them. And they're one game back of those two teams. So, like, one game is completely doable. Now, they got a big game against Green Bay this week, but you lose that game and then lose to Green Bay, your season's over. This
Yeah,
at least
pretty
gave
much.
them that. This gave them that lifeline that they need in order to really fight for that last wild card spot, because we know they have talent. Like, they should have a better record. They don't, though. Like, let's talk about that, because everyone points to they're a really good team. They just lost a couple close games. Well, they lost those games, and that's ultimately what matters. So now they're going to have to battle down the stretch, and picking up a win like that gives them the ability to do so.
All right. So before we head on, we'll transition to the next topic. We got to bring in our guy Steven. What's going on, man?
What's up,
What
fellas?
up? What up? What up?
How y'all doing?
Big
Good,
winners,
good.
Baker Mayfield this week, right?
Of course.
Biggest winner is Baker Mayfield haters. All us that were considered haters.
The haters. Oh,
All the
damn.
stands came out there once every 5 weeks and made their tweets.
Look how they
Ain't say
killed
nothing
us, Steven.
since.
Look how they killed us last week. Talking about, what you got to say about? I bet Mo feel real sick right now. Now look at y'all. He injured again. Trash, like I said.
Hey, man, hey. try to get some money, Baker. No, get a little bit of something. So,
if someone
fellas,
calls you $30 million, hit accept real quick. It's like that Urson trade that you get, and you're like, okay, yeah, hit accept. Like, I'll hit
What's
accept.
the Urson picture? It's like
so, fellas, let's see. Biggest loser this week.
Steven's biggest winner, real quick.
Yeah, Steven. Yeah, your biggest. Yeah.
What's what was the consensus so far? I just hopped on and laid the kids down.
I picked the team on a bye week.
Carolina. So Kenneth had Cincinnati.
Okay.
Mo
I had
Carolina.
Cincinnati because the rest of the division lost.
Other people lost. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Detroit and Carolina, like Cam Newton and Carolina and Detroit.
And that took Washington, Carolina, and Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll zig where y'all are zagging. I just listened. I always listen to See You Sunday a day late, it feels like, which is cool because like I get to listen to your guys' takes after everything happens, so it's more fun that way for me. But this game, I was surprised that people were so like they were convinced it was you guys were convinced it was a trap game. The Dallas Cowboys against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, it was literally the biggest win. I mean, 40-point victory there for the week. I mean, everyone was concerned. The loss against Denver didn't look good. That was not a good loss for them at all. But bouncing back, kind of taking control, being right there with everybody else who has taken a bad loss in the NFC. All these top teams have had bad losses lately. Dallas bounces back and looks like a top team in the NFC again. So, Mo, Kenneth, congratulations. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to congratulate Kenneth, Mo, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Apparently, he's the gatekeeper of my fanhood that, like, I got to double check with him to make sure that it's all right.
Because he picked Washington football team. I'm never going to let him live that down.
And hey, show me the audio.
Kenneth would have memes and everything of me saying Washington football team was going to win the division. So
you know me. I'm a hard worker. I'll find some clips.
Yeah. And to give even CouchCoach love here, I'll even call their proper name. Congratulations to the Arlington football team for their victory. And it was literally the biggest win. And it was a team that, Mo, you pointed this out. If they lost that second game, oh man, I would have been coming on here just clowning the heck out of them. So congratulations for coming back after an ugly loss. Looking like a top team in the NFC. That's my biggest winner of the Dallas Cowboys. Unsolicited, even. My honest opinion.
Yeah.
Boom.
So
it's because the Rams ain't played yet, but I mean, it's what it is.
Well, OBJ getting 3 touchdowns is gonna make him the biggest winner come tomorrow. So
we need a Tuesday show, Coach, for me.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna enjoy the Mike Shanahan Bowl tonight. So biggest loser, Kenneth. Who's the biggest loser of the week?
This might be a consensus. It should be.
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a 17. They haven't been blown out this in 17 years. I mean, yeah.
I mean, because
I
I'm gonna
mean,
let you guys hit on that one because I already know which one you guys are
yeah.
thinking. Seattle. I mean,
Yes. They got shut
you
out. They got
you
shut
put up
out.
0 points against Green Bay. Yeah, an improved defense, but you got your quarterback back, and then you got your diva wide receiver down the stretch, like getting into it with the other team because they're beating the brakes off you, and it's like I think it's a really bad loss. It would be one thing because I mean, Pat took the under on that game. I said I like the under in it as well because 49 seemed high, but I didn't realize under 17 and a half was all that I needed for that game because a team literally didn't score. Think about how bad some of those blowouts were yesterday, and teams found a way to still score some sort of points.
The Falcons at least kicked a field goal and made
They
it.
at least kicked a field goal. It was that bad. And Seattle's defense didn't play poorly yesterday. You held Aaron Rodgers 17 points. I don't care if he's coming off COVID or whatever the heck he had or what. That's bad. And when we were just talking about the NFC playoff picture, and that makes things even easier for a team like Minnesota because that was the one team that I looked of teams on the outs of oh, that team could catch fire too and really give Minnesota a run. Now they're a game down on them. They got a bunch of divisional games, which we know you got the Rams on your schedule. If you have Kyler healthy for Arizona, you got them on your schedule. I think it solidifies Seattle as potentially the bottom team in the NFC West this year and could be the end of Pete Carroll. Honestly, I know that someone in the chat pointed it out yesterday, and I was like, well, but you don't fire him after this loss, but you could fire him at the end of the year based off of the way that they've played so far this year, with or without Russ, because even when Russ was healthy, they weren't playing great football. So I think Seattle's a big loser this week.
Yeah. Steven, your biggest loser.
I'm not gonna go for the low hanging fruit here. I'm not gonna go for the low hanging fruit. Although I do want to mention Baker Mayfield is my honorable mention. He's my honorable mention. But dude, the Arizona Cardinals losing to the Panthers 34-10. That's a big loss, dude. I mean,
no Kyler though. You want to kill him?
No, but listen, it's not because they don't have Kyler. It's because they're in it neck and neck with us. Y'all mentioned it when we lost to the Titans. That's a tough loss. When you're this close in the NFC West and you're going to see each other down the pipe, it gets tough. You're losing a little bit of that leverage. That's why I said the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not going to knock Kyler Murray for being hurt, right? But overall, as an organization, though, your record's still going to show a loss regardless you didn't have Kyler or not, right? So losing to the Panthers, even still, you lose to the Panthers 34-10 with that offense, with that defense. I mean, even they have injuries across the board, but you would think we've been clowning the Panthers a lot lately for the way that they started hot and then it turns into I don't know who the quarterback is anymore there. CMC, is he in? Is he out? It hasn't been pretty for the Panthers, and the Cardinals have been the darlings of the season so far. And losing to the Panthers in a neck and neck NFC West division hunt at the top of the NFC, by itself, top of the NFC, it's a tough loss to take, man. So I would have to say the Arizona Cardinals because of what it means for the standings in the NFC. But yeah, let's kick some sand in Baker Mayfield's face too. I'm down for that.
I mean, if you're Arizona, you're probably hoping that Sam Darnold started yesterday because it might have given you a real fighting chance in that game. Honestly, because the way that he's turned over the ball this year, you might have figured out a way to create a turnover or two and actually be in that football game because they got blown out. It wasn't close. It was 23-0 at one point. They were blown out early and often.
Yeah, and we look at Arizona. This is supposed to be the perfect year for them because we figured how last year how it was going, and then they kind of backpedaled into the playoffs last year. Well, they did.
They're still
they
ahead of schedule.
That's right. They ain't make it.
In my opinion,
schedule,
they're ahead of schedule, but still, I mean, what it means for them right now is not a good look.
And especially
Now
if
you got to
y'all
beat the
y'all
Rams
win,
the second time, which like good luck with
right?
that. Like you already got your win. Now you can't afford to lose that
Yeah.
second matchup. Otherwise,
Look,
Yeah,
probably
Be-
over.
have
But-
Von Miller and OBJ last
yeah,
time.
because if y'all,
Super squad.
They ain't had
If-
him last time.
Ty-
yeah, 'cause
Tyler and
so-
D Hop
yeah.
hobbled too. Like that's not a
Mhm.
good look.
Because if y'all win now, y'all will regain it. Because obviously with San Francisco being a divisional game, so y'all
Mhm.
would, so y'all would, and that's something that you, like you said, now you
And
got.
you don't want to be the 5 in the NFC. That's the
No.
big thing because
No.
look at who's 4 right now. Tampa.
Correct.
Good luck. Good luck. You're gonna march in and beat Tom on the road. Okay. Even if
Exactly.
it's not him.
Unless you're the
Okay.
Washington football team.
Yeah. You got to go into Lambeau and face Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Good luck.
Right.
Dallas is going to be the 1 seed, so I'm not worried about that. But
Thank you, Steven, for that. Thank you. I got a hat for that.
We gonna be at the crib sleep.
We got a hat for that. We got a hat for that and a shirt for that.
You know,
Hey,
we gonna
speaking of that, the lid is fresh today, Coach. I like the hat, bro.
Appreciate it.
I might just take like a victory weekend nap when Dallas is the 1 seed.
I might not even watch playoffs football.
Bads are for winners. Bads are for winners. So.
Steven, we pointed out though that coach really got dressed up for this episode because
Yeah.
it might be Washington's like last victory.
He heard
We
that
talked
Snoop
about
Dogg's
that.
dropping an album this Friday.
We talked about
got trimmed
that.
up.
We talked about that's going to be might be the last victory potentially, but I don't know. We got a chance next week.
Oh,
We'll
you got
see.
the
Mount
Eagles
Westmore,
and
I'm
Giants.
ready for
You'll
that
be
track.
fine.
Oh yeah, right. We got them. We got some.
Yeah,
Christmas
you
gifts,
forget
know.
what division you're in. There's plenty of wins out there.
Correct.
Not for us,
Thank you,
other
Steve.
teams, but yeah.
Yeah, you know. Mo, who's your biggest loser this week?
Man, there was a lot of losers. You know, like we said, Cleveland and Baker Mayfield. I ain't even gonna beat y'all know how I feel. Everybody know how I feel. I'm with Steven here. We could make an hour long just dragging Baker Mayfield in the
Much
Cleveland.
as I would love that.
Mo, how am I supposed to get the YouTube clip to upload if you just going in on Baker Mayfield? Like that's what the people want to see. They
that's
want to
not-
see you go in on Baker.
You got the two
he
most
got
hated
hurt.
men in Ohio on the show right now. And
Yeah,
we're not doing
big
He
it.
got-
time.
he
Well,
got
yeah.
hurt. He got hurt, so I'm gonna let him live. He played terrible before he got hurt, but because he got hurt, I'm not gonna kill him on the fact. You know what? Like maybe he could have did something he wouldn't have. But let's just leave the what ifs. The Steelers for tying with the Lions, essentially,
Yep.
like one of the biggest
Yeah.
losers. Like, come on now, you lost to the biggest losers in football right now, or you tied. You couldn't beat the biggest losers. But I'm gonna say the Chargers. I said they were overrated on CU Sunday. So, I get to stand on that because they lost. I said it was a battle of two overrated teams, honestly, because everybody's giving Minnesota credit for
They're a
losing.
good team.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not a bad team, but like a lot of people are kind of giving them a lot of credit for losing close games. And it's like the really good teams that everybody wants to put Minnesota on, you win those games. Like the really good teams don't sit at 3-5. Like none of the good teams are sitting at 3-5. They have like no more than 3 losses, 4 losses if we're giving them benefit of the doubt because they're starting to look good. Chiefs, New England.
Well, that's the Vikings. Four losses.
They're 4-5.
Or four, I'm sorry,
They're
5
4
losses.
and
My
5,
bad.
and just
But
imagine.
My bad.
prior to they were 3-5, but after losing, and this was a good team that lost to Cooper Rush. Like, that's where I was done with the whole like Vikings were supposed to win that game if you want me to be honest. Like they lost to Cooper Rush. So that's where I was done with, okay, now they're overrated. Like they couldn't win this game. You're not gonna tell me a good team loses to Cooper Rush to the Dallas Cowboys when our defense didn't even play amazing that game. But I'm gonna say the Chargers because they lost in the same weekend that the Chiefs won. Chiefs are on a 3-game win streak. The Chargers have been very up and down, and so has Justin Hercutt. Shout out to Steve. But he's been up and down. Like he did not play amazing in that Vikings game. He had a chance to make up for it by getting that game-tying drive, and then you look at the game a little bit different. Winning concedes everything, and he didn't do it. I'm not going to knock him for that, though. He has like 7 game-winning drives in his young career, so I'm not going to kill him for not getting it done. Nobody's undefeated on a game-winning drive. Like, nobody ultimately always comes back when you give them the ball last. But it's just they've looked inconsistent. One week their defense looks amazing and their offense looks bad. The next week their offense looks amazing, their defense looks bad. Then they look average on both sides of the ball. The third week, like, you never know what Chargers team you're going to get. And this was the Chargers that after their loss to Dallas, like even still, we were like, they're still a great team. Like they lost to Dallas, they lost to Dallas, who almost beat Tampa game. And the Chargers hadn't played anybody yet, hadn't beat somebody where we really were convinced that they were that great of a team. The win against Cleveland is starting to look overrated. Like, going down, I know, but Cleveland's not that great of a team either as they were when both of them faced off. Like, you looked at them as like, man, this might be cream of the crop of the AFC. So they're losers in the fact that you got to get the job done. You got to win this game. But at the same time, like, they are in the weak AFC. They'll probably make the wild card. If you really look at it, AFC is bad. Like, the AFC is fairly bad when we talk about.
We've been saying that for like the past, 2-3 CU Sundays.
Yeah, we've been saying we came into the season really.
The AFC is so bad that we think 10 or 11 teams could realistically make the playoffs in the AFC.
Like, look how many teams.
That's how bad it is.
Right.
Like once you get from those top 5, 4, maybe, then it's like, damn, like it could just be who gets hot the last 6 weeks.
Exactly.
Like, it may not even be a great team. It might just be a team that's played a tough schedule.
Listen, the AFC is so bad that people are
How bad is it?
They're so bad that people are willing to beat their chest on saying Bill Belichick reaches the Super Bowl. It ain't nobody said the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. Key in to win, especially on these big time networks or anybody wants to drop their draws and buy New England stock. I just want to say, ain't none of them said they could win the Super Bowl.
They draws.
Yeah, they want to drop. They want to
That
drop.
ain't the most southern thing I've ever heard.
I'm just saying.
Oh my.
They drop their draws and swing their nuts on their bold pick that New England gets back to the Super Bowl.
What a step
They not saying they gonna win. They feel like they can get to the Super Bowl because the AFC is bad. Like, they feel like all you have to do is maybe beat Buffalo or outside of Tennessee, who's really the best team in the AFC. I don't care what everybody talking about with Buffalo. Tennessee has won 2 games without Derrick Henry. I got to give them their credit. They're the best team in the AFC.
Said they would do that.
Play. Yeah, Julio didn't play. Like, and this goes to Jeff's point. So Jeff is really the biggest winner. 2 games. They're undefeated without Derrick Henry. Jeff hates running backs, says they don't have the greatest value, put anybody back there, and that's what they done. Shut up. But I'm just saying, like people feel the AFC is so bad that you could say that New England beating another team who Cleveland subpar at this point, they're winning games against meaningless opponents, and they could win a Super Bowl because the AFC is bad. Nobody is out here saying the 5-4 New Orleans Saints have a chance in the NFC. That's essentially what we're matching up. Mac Jones looks good though, as opposed to Trevor Siemian, but nobody at 6-4 or 5-4 are people out here in the NFC saying they have a shot. They're like, they'll be fortunate enough to get in the wild card and get beat gracefully by one of these top 5 teams in the NFC. So I'm just saying, like, the AFC being so bad is why so many teams have a shot for playoffs. And right now in the AFC, like, it kind of sucks because you can't tank. Like, you're too close. Even with 3 wins, you have a realistic shot at being in the wild card. So now you're stuck. Like, do you tank? Do you shoot for that top draft pick to get one of those top players? Or do you just keep trying to win because you do have a chance to get to the playoffs? And some coaches might be coaching for their job. So a playoff appearance at the very least and the possibility of winning a playoff game might save, certain guys' jobs, Brian Flores, which is why, like, Miami can't tank. Miami's
in 1 year? 1 year, Brian Flores is going to lose his job? 1 bad season?
I don't think he should. I don't think he should. But you be hearing and you be seeing, and it's like, I think he's on a hot seat. And I think in the offseason, I think the buzz before they release, I don't think he'll get fired on what we call Black Monday. I don't think he'll get fired on Black Monday, but I don't know if his job will be secure through the rest of the season if he don't next year. Like, I think he'll have about 6 games to prove something if he don't make that trade for Deshaun Watson. I think Flores' job is going to
another team really happy.
Not this season. And does he shake up the league and add Deshaun Watson? So you don't want to tank because you don't want to have 3 wins and be on the hot seat and hope, like, leave all hope. You want Tua to look good. You want your offense to look good. You don't leave all hope in the basket of do you land Deshaun Watson or not, because he could get convicted of what he did, and boom, there goes all your hope, and there goes Flores' job. But I think the AFC is so close that Miami has a chance. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, do we see it happening? Probably not, but they have a chance. Being 2 games out of the wild card with 8 games left is not a bad place to be in, no matter how bad your team is.
But the biggest losers, it's got to be Cleveland. I think just a simple fact of, you losing to a team. My goodness, dude. You cannot lose 45-7 and to a team of that nature, because we looked at Cleveland not on New England's level. regardless.
Y'all were split on them. Y'all were split on them on the show.
That's true,
I think I took Cleveland, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think I took
No,
Cleveland too because
you took New Orleans, Mo. It was
I did take
Coach. It
Cleveland.
was Coach, and it was Pat that were on
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Cleveland,
Well,
yes, everybody
I
was
on Cleveland.
Yeah, because you guys,
There's no
think
way
to
that I
yourself.
picked New England. Because
Yeah.
if I did, then like I'm putting out tweets apologizing to New England for no reason.
I think my hatred for Baker Mayfield made me pick New England. I think that's all it was.
But the way they came out in that game, it's like they had no shot, and especially when you're a team that's fighting, especially in the AFC, you can't have that type of performance. And like you said, this is not the consummate Bill Belichick team that we grew accustomed to. They're not the Tom Brady led. They were led by a rookie quarterback. And just a simple fact of we look at Cleveland and you want to kind of give them a pass because they was 0-16, 1-15 previous years. Baker kind of do his thing. He kind of now to a point where the excuses are off for him because now we used to be like, well, there's no continuity. You had Freddie Kitchens 1 year, Hugh Jackson the next. Now you got Kevin Stefanski for 2 years, and now it's like, look, we gotta. You want to root for the underdog in Cleveland, but now they're starting to become they're living up to that mantra again, and it's like to a point where I love the fact that they went to Pittsburgh and won, and I figured, hey, the exorcism is over, but this is still the Cleveland Browns team that we grew accustomed to, and it's their worst loss since Christmas Eve of 2005. And it's just, and that they was led by Charlie Fry. If anybody remember Charlie Fry?
I remember
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so it's just like it's just get to a point where Cleveland
The Browns is the Browns.
The Browns is the Browns, unfortunately. And
They
it's
were
just
hard.
45-7. And like you said, they made me and Pat look crazy.
But they were Super Bowl, like, just think about it. And I said if coming into the season, I said if I'm not gonna pick Kansas City and Tampa to go to the Super Bowl, I said the Rams and the Browns. Like I said, if you're gonna take those two teams who were the favorites at the beginning of the season, I said I'm gonna take the Rams and the Browns. But the Browns, because that's how we looked. Like we looked at it was Kansas City, Cleveland was supposed to improve off the season they had last year, in Buffalo. Like that was essentially what the AFC was going to come down to, was those three teams. In the same way, while looking at the NFC, like it was with the improvements that the Rams had with Matt Stafford, and God, now they got Von Miller and Odell Beckham. That changes things again. But even still, with just getting Matt Stafford, I'm like, man, the way Sean McVay gonna be able to air out that offense, like that's gonna be a tough team to beat. They was already good defensively. We watched them, and we figured Jared Goff was the problem. So if anybody felt like it was an upgrade, then boom, the Rams got to be better, right? Because they were a playoff team with Jared Goff. So a playoff team getting a better quarterback, automatically, like they're going to compete at a lot higher level. And I'm like, it would be either the Rams, the Packers, or the Bucks, in my opinion. I didn't even think the Cowboys would be this good. So for them to be 5-5, for Cleveland to be 5-5 right now, like that is a hard regression for the expectations coming into the season and for your defense to look that bad. I'll give you the excuse that Baker went out. He looked bad, and then he went out. I'll give you the excuse that Bill Belichick does great against quarterbacks, average quarterbacks. I'll let that rock. But when Mac Jones puts on a fiasco that he put on, and your defense, which is supposed to be one of the top 5 defenses in the league, give up 45 to
Hoyer, even take out
Hoyer.
Amazing.
Hoyer came out and did something.
Oh yeah, ball. Yeah, he scored a touchdown.
Was he like 6 for 6 when he came in? Like
that was a garbage time.
The backup quarterback against a defense that was the moves they made, the draft they had, everything healthy. Denzel Ward came back. All it is, Troy Hill, everything that they did, we're like, man, this might be the best defense in football. We said this might be the best roster on paper in football. Everybody was able to say this was a top 3 roster. I mean, I felt like outside the quarterback, they're just as good as anybody anywhere.
Right.
Like this was one of the top teams coming into the season. We had high expectations for it. And they are like, they might miss the playoffs. Like that's a possibility. Or Case Keenum saves them and they're able to move on from Baker after this year, which is a possibility.
Right. And the only caveat too is they started 3-1. So that's another thing too, when you look at it, where they started off really well. And now you look at just what they have done. They've lost, I mean, they really kind of
5-5 now.
5-5 now. So 2 out of, they've only won 2 out of their last 7 games.
And we don't know how long Baker's out. Like at the end of the day,
exactly.
Whether you think it matters or not, I don't. They got Case Keenum. Like
Dude.
I think I'm more concerned about. I'm more concerned about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt coming back off IR. I said that from the jump, and we've seen it twice. And the offense looked a lot better when Dearness Johnson was playing, when Case Keenum played the whole game. Now, granted, it wasn't against the defensive mind but we've seen New England give up a lot of points in a few games. Like, we've seen some really good offenses put up a lot of points against a New England team this year. So I'm like, even with Dearness Johnson, like Case Keenum was able to make the offense at least look viable. They look horrible. After looking amazing and everybody saying they didn't need Odell Beckham and all them Baker Mayfield, like, hey, Mo, hey, Steven, we heard what y'all been saying all year. Now look at him. What you got to say? And I ain't climb out my rabbit hole. Hey, it's one game. If he keeps repeating the performances, I'll shut up. I'll apologize. And then he does this. Then he comes and does this. Baker's going to do what Baker's going to do. Okay? Like, so go ahead and pay him $40 million. Regret it for the next 5 years. Be upset and then be a poverty franchise for another 25. I don't care.
Shout out to another biggest loser, Cam Newton haters. I just want to throw that out there.
Got in the end zone twice.
And plus, hey, so the for the creator of Rush to DC campaign, which will have it live in effect in 2 weeks from tonight on Monday Night Football, we got our guy, the co-host of the Washington Football Guys, the NFC East champion, Rob is in the building.
Oh, hey,
fire
Rob.
up the boat, fire up the
Can't take
boat.
the title from us yet. Ain't nothing clinched yet.
It ain't.
It will be in about 6 weeks. I'll give you that, Mo, but not yet.
6? It's going to take 6?
It's going to take 6.
Oh,
Till they ain't the champs no more, Mo.
Well, Philly is right on our tail.
I will take care of them. You don't need to worry about them. We'll take care of them.
They are on our tail.
We got them twice.
We appreciate your sacrifice.
Yeah.
We're here for you guys.
Right.
Ain't no Philly fans at the network. Who cares about
That's
that?
crazy that we don't have any Philly fans on the network right now.
We got multiple Giants,
That's all we
multiple
need.
Washington. Yeah, that's what we need.
That's
More
all we
NFC
need on
fans.
the network is.
I don't think we need a Philly. I think that turns those arguments raunchy if we add a Philly. If we bro,
that's
them,
already raunchy.
I was gonna say,
I mean, you can't put a Dallas and Washington guys together.
I'm not going to say publicly, but what I put in that chat yesterday, but it wasn't great. It wasn't my funnest
I
moment.
will say that some of my most cordial conversations have been with Mo.
Yeah,
and with Keno.
Cowboys and Washington fans, and we get together and we can have cordial conversations. You throw a Philly fan in the mix, and we all gonna be ready to choke each other through the screen. Like, that's what's gonna happen when you add Philly to the conversation. Even
we got Giants fans too.
Yeah, it would have been fun, but now since they won a Super Bowl, I don't like them no more. You ever notice with a Philly fan too? Once they won a Super Bowl, it's almost like they feel like they're untouchable.
They didn't care about football anymore. Like, they did what needed to be done in their lifetime, and they're done now. Like, I've seen the Super Bowl in my lifetime. That was their goal.
Exactly.
Not consistently be a good team night in, night out. Hey, we won my Super Bowl. I get to say this until the day I die, and I'm probably going to bury myself with a Philly flag on it. Like, that's
and now I can boo Santa at football games because that's what we do here in Philly.
There you go. Right. That's what they do.
Santa, bro.
That's what they do. And we're
ain't no one
coming down
booing
on the
Santa at the
19th.
Network.
Huh?
Yeah,
ain't no one booing Santa.
No, we ain't booing Santa.
We got kids, man. We're not booing
Santa. Exactly. So, Rob, before we go to the last topic, your biggest loser this week.
So, real quick, you guys kind of touched on it a little bit. I got to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Y'all hammered the Browns enough. We get it, 45-7. They suck. We know. But the Steelers to go and tie, to not beat the Lions. The Lions, they're better than their record shows. I don't like that phrase a whole lot. But the Lions are for sure.
Come on.
Yes, they are.
Come on.
Yes, they are.
They should have a win.
They should have at least
going
2
according
wins.
to plan.
Yeah.
They should
have 2 wins.
I will say
they should have beat Baltimore.
Yeah.
66-yarder.
Jesus Christ himself kicked that field goal.
Yeah,
I'll just say
that wasn't Justin Tucker out there. We know that.
Yeah.
That was the second coming of Jesus who kicked that field goal. So they should have at least one, probably 2 wins this season. But for the Steelers, the whole talk this year has been Ben Roethlisberger needs to retire. That's what's holding them back. If Ben would just let it go, the Steelers can be off to the races. And to go and tie the Lions, it was just embarrassing. Even without Big Ben. Again, Mike Tomlin, I know you love him, Steven. I get it. He's not the coach that everybody thinks he is. Again, he's never had a losing season. No, listen. And I'm not going to get into this. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. At one point in my life, would I have rather had him over Jay Gruden? Absolutely. But outside of what he did with Bill Cowher's team, he's been good. Hasn't been great, but that's
All
not
right.
even the point. That's not
Let
even
me
the
get the
point.
first. Let me get the first swing at it when he done. All right,
Go ahead.
Rob, just write that man a blank check, bro. Like, just write that man a blank check. I know this. I know where this coming from. I know where this come from, Rob. Just write that boy. Just write that man a blank check. Then let him come to
I'm
Southern
not saying he's
California.
not good. He's a good coach. I would love to have him as a coach. I just feel like if you're that great, you should have been back to a Super Bowl by now. Especially now that Brady's not in the conference anymore. But that's neither here nor there. That's not the point. You get a home game against Detroit, and you're not able to pull out that win. It looks bad. That's my biggest loser.
But you know what's funny though? Like I said in the beginning of the show, that's gonna help them because now you look at this how the AFC playoff picture is. That tag will help them. Watch, I guarantee you. Watch. That's
A win would have been
them.
better.
I don't know
but here's the thing:
Big Ben.
a tie helps the worst team. Detroit's not gonna be fighting for that 7th playoff spot, and that tie is gonna be what helped them. The Steelers might be where Washington was in 2016 or 2015, where we were on the cusp of a playoff spot, and that tie it ended up hurting us in the long run. I think that's where the Steelers could end up being at the end of the season because of that tie in a game that they should have won somewhat easily.
Losses,
but I don't think
no, Steven, you're right. The 3, of course, the losses are going to hurt, but I'm saying as far as the tie itself, it could play into a scenario where had they just handled business and won that game against Detroit, that whatever game in week 18, the scenario that they need, the 17 dominoes to fall into place, would not have mattered because that's where Washington was back in 2015. We tied against the Bengals on a missed field goal, a missed like 23-yard field goal by coach's boy Dustin Hopkins. It didn't seem that big of a deal then, but week 17 going into a game against the Giants, we had to win to get a playoff spot. Had we handled business against Cincinnati like we should have, that week 17 game wouldn't have mattered because we would have already had a playoff spot clinched, and Kirk Cousins would still be our quarterback right now.
That's fair. And plus, also, the NFL are the biggest losers for even letting ties be a thing. Ties should not be a thing.
Ties should never be a thing, bro. Somebody should outright win it every game. Like, I hate ties, period.
The NFL is the biggest loser, but not for those reasons. But the NFL's about to
they just keep throwing more wood on the fire for why
I don't think the Steelers win that game even with Big Ben, though. Like, if you look what Mason Rudolph did, 30 for 50, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Najee Harris ran for over 100 yards. Offensively,
Najee Harris is so nice, man.
Offensively, they essentially put up about the same numbers that they put up consistently on a weekly basis. So I don't know. Maybe Big Ben's a little more efficient than 30 for 50, but even he hasn't given us, the most. Like, he's been up and down too. They've relied on their defense when their offense doesn't show, but he showed enough. And Najee Harris. So, like, when I look at how they played with Mason Rudolph, like, I'm not as sure to say that it's because Big Ben didn't play because the offense didn't really look much different. That's my only thing. So I do think they're the biggest losers. But, like, if anybody will say, well, if they have Big Ben, they win that game. If you actually look at the offensive production, I don't know that to be true with how the Steelers have played. So, but I am with you though, Cruz. Like, you got to win those games. Like,
and let's not forget how great Jared Goff played in that game, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the rain.
He even said out of his mouth he wanted Jared Goff back in LA.
11 passing yards at halftime. Like, you can't win that game. Like, come on.
I regret trading him for Matt Stafford.
I would.
Yeah, like, mass remorse.
Yeah, he had 11 pass yards at halftime. I regret that.
Jared Goff beats Arizona early in the year. That's all I'm saying.
Jared Goff has 1 tie to his name since leaving LA. We need him back.
Yeah. And your point, Rob, yes, but now I'm a Joe Slack kind of guy. So, so
you and me both.
Yeah. So, all right, fellas, around up this week's Overreaction Monday. Your biggest overreaction from week 10 of the NFL season. Steven, what you got?
Rams are winning a Super Bowl. I mean,
oh boy.
You got OBJ.
Can't,
Got
can't.
Von Miller. You got everybody else.
Sacrifice Robert Woods. I respect
Sacrifice Robert Woods. I hate
Had to do
that.
what you
Like
had to
y'all
do.
know I love
Yeah.
Robert Woods. When I
Yeah.
found out that we were getting OBJ, I was concerned because I was like, this might take touches away for Woods. And I know he hasn't had the usual season for Robert Woods, right? But still feel like he could do a little bit of something. And I felt like if we had all three of them, y'all convinced me that like putting OBJ in like a Brandon, in a Cooks role on this team, like when we went to the Super Bowl, I was feeling that. But even still, like now we get more touches for OBJ, for Higbee. He still gets his touches, a tight end, really underrated tight end. And then obviously we still get, a good output from Cooper Kupp, who's been killing it lately, right? So with all that being said, the Rams defense looking good, the offense looking good. Got a good game tonight going on against the San Francisco 49ers. Depending on how that game goes, I mean, I'm feeling Super Bowl for the team this year.
Yeah.
Odell better get that first touchdown tonight.
Right. Cruz, what you got?
So I said it in the chat. You guys kind of touched on it as I was getting on, so I couldn't really hear what exactly was being said. But the AFC needs to be put on notice with the New England Patriots. I get it. They just beat a really bad team in Cleveland that we can all agree on. But they lost a close game to Tampa. They lost a game to Dallas in overtime. They're in close games with these good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick is still arguably the best coach in the history of this league. Mac Jones, you can see, is getting better and better every week. I don't know what Josh McDaniels is doing with him, but Josh McDaniels is putting him in perfect positions to be successful and to win ball games. Right now, they're sitting, I think, currently the 5th seed in the AFC, and with the way the AFC is looking right now, I don't want to say it's anybody's conference, because again, the Titans are by far and away the best team in the conference right now, but they could start creeping up there. I think the Patriots have Falcons coming up, and they have 2 against the Bills, and then obviously still have, I think, 1 more game against the Dolphins. So they could very well start creeping up into that number 1 seed if they can keep Mac Jones on the trajectory that he's going on right now.
Yeah. Kenneth.
Cruz hit on the point of that tie for Pitt coming back to bite them. I think the AFC North only has 1 playoff team in this year for that division, and I think it's Baltimore. Like, when I look at this division, like, Cleveland is a mess. Like, yeah, they've been missing Chubb and whatever, but like, if Baker's hurt, like, I think Keenum's fine, but he's not great. They all play each other down the stretch, and it feels like it's one of those divisions where like everybody's just going to beat everybody. So they're all going to pick up losses against each other. They'll pick up wins against each other. And I look at some of these teams on the outside that I like a lot more than them. Like, I know the Chargers just lost to the Vikings, but I like them to make the playoffs a lot more than I like some of these other teams in these divisions. So I think only 1 team in the AFC North is getting into the playoffs this year. I don't know whether it's Indy's going to turn it on late in the year or what, but I only see 1 playoff team in this division. Like, there's too many question marks week to week with these AFC North teams. Like, even Baltimore, like I said that they're the playoff team, but like they just lost to Miami, so it's not like they're exactly rolling right now. So I got 1 AFC North playoff team.
Mo, your biggest overreaction this week.
Man, it's so much to overreact to. Because the way the season's shaking, like there's always like really some huge overreaction. Oh man, it's like tough. God, I'm gonna say Arizona doesn't win a first round playoff game. And I'm gonna go. I know like that's a far prediction, but based on what I've seen, and I get it. No Kyler, no DeAndre. So I know they're gonna come back, but I'm gonna be honest, like we've seen receivers not necessarily look the same for a huge part, if not the rest of the season, when a hamstring is involved. Even you look at Dallas right now, Amari Cooper messed his hamstring up in like week 3. He's still coming to the sideline, sitting out plays and putting a massager to his hamstring to stretch it out. He's still riding the bike when the defense is on the field to stretch out his hamstring, to keep it loose. And it's one of those you also see at times it disables him from getting open. It disables him for a crisp cut route. And I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be needed for that. I think when you have CeeDee Lamb and then now you got Michael Gallup coming back and you have one of the top 3 to 5 running back duos in the backfield with Zeke and Pollard, you can afford a guy like Amari Cooper to not be 100% night in and night out. But overall, like I just think when they get there, I don't think they'll win the division. So if I want to bring an overreaction, I'm sticking the Rams are going to win the NFC West. The Cardinals might be that 5 seed. You don't really want to be the 5 seed.
No, Tampa. No.
I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to be the good team in the wild card, actually, if you think about it. Because you're either getting Dallas, LA, Green Bay, or Tampa away. Like, so whoever is that wild card spot, you don't want that game regardless. That goes for everybody. It goes for Dallas. That's why each game is important because you want to be fighting for seeding and position. And we play some of those teams. But I think if they don't end up like they're going to play Green Bay on the road, I'm not taking Arizona. I'm not taking Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona against Aaron Rodgers yet. Like they're not on the level where I'm taking them against maybe Dallas. Like maybe you'll take them against Dallas because you don't trust Mike McCarthy. They don't have the playoff success. Dak doesn't have the playoff success at quarterback that you would just, no matter how good Dallas is, that you'll just flat out take them, Dak and Dallas over Kyler. But I think they'll lose in the first round because they're not going to win their division. That's going to be the biggest key for this thing for LA and Arizona is the division winner is going to take a deep breath and know that they have a good matchup. But they also don't want to be fourth, but they'll play each other if that happens. But I just don't think Arizona makes it out of the first round. As successful as they've been, as everybody's wanted to convince themselves they're the best team in the NFC, they're still out of the top teams in the NFL. They're still the team I trust the least. And that hamstring injury to me for DeAndre, it's a big deal. Like I said, watching Amari Cooper go through it, where he's been limited in practice, he's been questionable coming up to the game. We know he's gonna play, but you pay attention to stuff like that when it does affect your team, so you know how it could affect. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't played. When's the last time DeAndre Hopkins missed a game? Like he don't miss games. So for that hamstring to put him out 2 games in a row, it's definitely hurting him not being out there on that field. And then when he comes back, like there's no guarantee that he comes back 100%. All it takes is one wrong step. Boom, he tweaks his hamstring. We watched Amari Cooper do it. Like everything that could happen with DeAndre, I watched Amari Cooper retweak his hamstring and sit out a couple drives. And we're like, where's Amari Cooper been? And he's over there with the massage gun on the back of his hamstring, just letting it loose. Trying to loosen it up. So
I mean, we saw it with another wide receiver last year, and the effects are being felt this year with Julio Jones.
Yeah, like he's in and out with it. Now he's on IR.
But that's where like some of these guys like they just start to deteriorate. It happened with AJ Green too, which like the fact that he's even played like pretty much a full schedule is pretty surprising. Like I don't blame you at all for the wide receiver point. It's why I wasn't high on Julio this year because. Once that hamstring happens, like you
never know.
It kind of feels like the downturn at that point. So,
Yep. So my biggest overreaction this week, I am
buying Minnesota Vikings stock, as mentioned on CU Sunday as well. I think they'll be a wild card team.
Okay.
I think even with the struggles they had early on, they've had playoff caliber teams except for maybe Cleveland. I mean, they lost to Dallas. They also lost to Arizona by a point.
Which was a missed field goal too.
Yep. And then Cincinnati open in week 1. I think they get their footing. They got a favorable schedule down the stretch. Obviously, they got Green Bay twice, but they got a holiday gift against San Francisco and Detroit. So you look at that matchup. They got the Bears twice. So they got a legitimate shot. And I think if they continue on their trajectory, and I think they kind of got somewhat of a recipe of how to win the fourth quarter, because that Charger game definitely was a turning point for them. I definitely thought they were going to sequester that lead, and I was like, whew, but Captain Kirk Cousins, he delivered in LA. Star of all stars.
I feel like this overreaction Monday is kind of like just me apologizing to a lot of fan bases because I was also See You Sunday is just like a terrible show for me. Like if you want to go and look at some terrible takes, just like you got a highlight reel there. But like when it came to Minnesota, like I said, they blow games when they have leads late, and they've done it consistently this year, which is why I took the Chargers. They closed it last week, and so they're definitely in the playoff hunt now. Because like I thought, if they lose that game, they're kind of in that Seattle spot. But because they win now, you look at that, and we talked about the teams ahead of them. Like you're not that sold on Carolina, probably not that sold on New Orleans. Like you're more sold on Kirk Cousins at quarterback than you are those other quarterbacks.
That's fair,
especially with the weapons around them. Like we're talking Jefferson, Cook, and Thielen, and Cook's been in and out of the lineup. He looks healthy, looked really
Madison's
good
too,
and Madison's good too. So like you look at that offense, you're way more sold on that than like Taysom and Simeon and Cam Newton and whoever else.
And then you think about it, they did beat Carolina, so that's another one where that's going to help them down the stretch as well.
But you know what sucks for them is of their last 3 games, they play the Rams and the Packers back to back. And I would say it'd be favorable against the Rams for Minnesota if Minnesota didn't play in the dome. If they didn't play indoors, it would be favorable to play the Rams because they could play outside. It'll be cold the day after Christmas. Like you could take advantage when you need a win against a big team, because that win, like the loss might not matter to the Rams at that point, but they're still going to play their starters because that'll be week 16 of 18.
It depends on what the matchup looks like against Arizona at that point.
Right. And
they'll still be playing their starter because I think the top 5 NFC teams, I think they're all going to be playing for that 1 seed. Like, because 2 teams don't get it, everybody's playing for 1 spot. They want that bye week, and everybody probably is essentially
playing to the last week. Like looking at where it is right now, everyone's playing week 18.
You're probably trying to duck Arizona or LA. Like whoever doesn't win that division, you trying to duck them in the first round. Like you don't want to have an overall successful season, but they play the Packers, and like they're playing 2 opponents where those games are gonna matter, and they play the Packers at home and they play the Rams at home. But like to me, there's not an advantage. You can take advantage at that time of the year when the cold weather plays a factor. All things aren't even on the field. Yeah, you got home field advantage, but like you don't have a weather advantage, nothing like that with LA when they're coming into a cold weather city because you play in the dome anyway. So that's why I think they're kind of screwed is when the end where wins are going to matter for LA, Green Bay. Because like I said, everybody chasing that 1 seed in the NFC. They're going to fight for that 1 seed.
Right.
So those wins are going to matter, and you're getting no advantage. You're getting the full-blown Rams. They're going to be rolling at that point. OBJ will be authenticated in the offense. Von Miller will be a big part of the defense at that point. He'll probably be the play caller on the defensive side of the ball at that point. So LA will look like whatever you're going to see in the playoffs at that point in time, and so will Green Bay. And so most of those teams, like they'll be back as healthy as possible, barring any other injury. So that does suck for them. At the end, is 2 of your last 3 games, and then you close out with a division game. Yeah, it's against the Bears, but we do know division games. I think it's in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to be playing outside of Soldier Field.
It's going to be in Minnesota. The last week, it'd be Minnesota.
Oh, it's in Minnesota. Oh, so you should be okay. But we know
But this is why, like, we talked about, like, the close losses that they've had. That's why that Cooper Rush game matters, because you then look late in the year where you have those games, and it's like, you might think, like, okay, we could afford to lose those. But you could have afforded that had you taken care of business. Like you could
same reason why that tie matters for the Steelers.
Exactly. And you look at that missed field goal against Arizona. That matters. Like you get those 2 wins like you should have. Then we're having a completely different discussion about Minnesota. But now, as Mo points out, Green Bay late in the year, Rams late in the year, games that matter, because if it was a couple years ago where there's only 6 playoff teams, probably matters more for Minnesota, but less for some of those top teams because there's a couple first-round buys out there.
Yeah.
So,
and it depends on what really and it depends on what their record looks like at that point too. Like,
but just saying, like the favorable matchups, like they have favorable matchups where we see they could win, where they have a light schedule, but then your last 3 games, like 2 of them is against the Rams and the Packers. Like I said, those 2 teams are gonna look like teams that are prepared to make a Super Bowl run. Like we're not just talking.
No, I feel that. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of it's going to
And like we
depend
said,
on.
You
and we
wish you
still
played
gotta
Tampa
make
this last week.
right.
Yeah, like
And the thing
turns
about
other
this,
games into must-win games.
and then we talk about like with Green Bay. Green Bay's also a divisional game as well. So, like you said, a lot of things can happen. But to me, what they've done so far, like I think them taking those type of L's early is going to help them down the road. So, like when they confront in these situations, I think they'll be able to execute a lot better.
I think
So,
9-8 can get you in the playoffs in the NFC
I think so
this
too.
year too.
And with them
Like
being
really, what like we're talking about all these other teams with all these question marks, like. Carolina still has to win the majority of their games. Like New Orleans still has to win the majority of their games. So if they can't do that, like who's saying 8 and 9 couldn't do it either?
It's a
like,
toss
there's a
up.
lot of tough
I
games.
think so.
left.
Yeah, I definitely think
outside of those 5 teams, like 1 through 4 is the division winners, and 5 is that the 1 wild card spot. Them last 2 wild card spots is going to be
completely wide open.
It's
like
wide open. Realistically,
wide open.
Chance if they, I know they don't look like we would count them in, but they would have a chance. So when you start looking at that, it's like the last 2, because the NFC is so top heavy. The top 5 teams are probably 5 of the 6.
We know who they are. We know who the top 5
are. And then everybody fall in line.
And you look at everybody else's circumstance.
And then you got Carolina, New Orleans playing
Yeah.
against each other in the rematch of their divisions. So
that's maybe a spot, and then that opens up probably an extra spot for someone else, which
that affords you a loss against one of those teams. Because actually, because Carolina won the first one, if they win the second one too, then they've just got the overall tiebreak. Yeah, shuts the door.
Don't count Atlanta out. Like you got Atlanta.
Remind me whenever those 2 teams play again, they got to be in the article because like I might space out and forget, but like that'll be critical just for that reason.
Just off the strength of that. Yeah,
y'all are helping me write these articles now.
They're not
So, fellas, let's put a bow on this week's Overreaction Monday. Final thoughts and plug your socials and upcoming projects. Kenneth.
Follow me on all social platforms at shooters_pod. Just fade all my betting plays that aren't NBA right now. Like we're on a massive cooler right now. We're on Jesus Christ, it's bad. But anyways, bets on bets. Tail Pat, guy's on fire. He's absolutely killing it right now on the NFL betting side. Or just bet the opposite of me. That also might work. You'll go 6-0 that week if you follow Pat and don't follow me. And then got shooters tomorrow night. It's going to be a little bit later. It'll be at 9 Eastern time. Just I got to head out and take on that rec basketball once again and really discourage myself of the athlete that I once was and no longer am. And then I'm going to be on with Stu this week. Book the show with Stu after how enthusiastic he was to book me in. I did get that. So going to be on with Stu. Excited for that.
I'll see what I can do, Kenneth.
I'll DM you. One of the funniest moments.
Look for my letter in the mail.
It was a Bill Belichick type of exchange.
You didn't get my carrier pigeon? Damn, I sent it days ago. No,
don't have a good signal on my beeper. I don't know what to.
I sent you a fax. You didn't get it. But yeah, just go check out offtheballnetwork.com. There's a lot of great stuff over there. A lot of great articles. Frustration Friday coming once again this week. Who knows? Maybe I'll just write about See You Sunday from this past week and my frustrations with my terrible takes. So we'll see what happens. But appreciate you having me on, Coach. You're one of the very best in the business.
Appreciate you. And you're a gentleman and a scholar, and I appreciate what you do, Kenneth.
Positivity Monday, right?
Correct. Yes, indeed, Stephen.
Hey, man, Coach, Mo, Kenneth, it's always fun when I get to chop up football with you guys. I am a primarily a basketball contributor for Off the Ball Network, but I like having the room to stretch my legs a little bit and, talk some football. It's a good year for me so far. But, as always, Coach, appreciate you having me on. Yeah. You want to follow me, you can do that on Twitter at Stephen G. Hoops. You can follow me on Instagram at Stephen W. Gillespie. You can follow the show that Kenneth and I co-host called Breaking the Game at BTG NBA Pod anywhere on social media. You can follow the draft show that Chris LeBron, the president of Off the Ball Network, and I co-host, Draft Capital. You can follow that anywhere on social media at Draft Capital NBA. You can follow both of those shows anywhere you get your podcasts. And please, please, please don't forget to check out Dash Radio every Monday We got the 5-hour block party where it goes Mo, Kenneth, me, Prez, Hoopers, all those guys. We got 2 hours on Wednesdays now, a little block party there. And then on Saturdays, you got Draft Capital as well. So, offtheballnetwork.com for all your sports needs. Go over, subscribe to Off the Ball on YouTube, which we're streaming all of our shows over there now. We're gaining slowly but surely some good viewers and momentum there. So we want to keep that up. Tell your friends about us. And as always, fellas, it's an honor and a pleasure to chop it up with you guys.
Absolutely. Mo, what you got?
Yeah, it's always great linking with y'all. Overreaction Monday, see you Sunday. Whenever we get the network going, talking basketball, football, it doesn't matter. It's always great. But I always look forward to these. Like, I make sure my schedule's cleared for see you Sunday and Overreaction Monday. But you can follow me at Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter, Instagram, or at Upper Flames Pod on Twitter, Instagram. Just put out the episode that if you didn't listen to it on Dash Radio with me and Steven. Actually, I've gotten a lot of great reviews from people that was able to hear it on Dash Radio earlier today. And anybody that's caught it since I posted it a couple hours, actually have gotten good feedback on that show. So Steven,
you seem surprised, bro. I mean, it's just
Steven, you're a star. They love you. So, my quality content is based on my guests, not on me. So I always take
so
pride.
modest.
No, but I do. I always take pride in having great guests and stuff because, like, I can't do that show essentially for an hour without somebody else to converse with. So it's always good. Kenneth is a regular on the show. Steve is a regular on the show.
Mo prides himself in great guests, and then when they cancel, then I'm always there to pick up the pieces. So.
Yeah. I can't find one. Like I got Steven or Kenneth. Like easily, I'm getting them.
Guarantee, bro.
I waited till last minute to do a show, and I got to do it. So, who's ready for basketball win hour? All right, cool. But yeah, you can always go check that out. Go check out Dash Radio every Monday. Like you said, 5-hour block party, 2 hour, small little hump day block party over there on Wednesdays, with Steven, and then
nothing but air.
Yeah, nothing but airtime. Got to give him a shout out to.
Shout out Cole.
Obviously, while you're watching college football, you can put the headphones in and listen to some Draft Capital. So we got a lot of great things going on at Dash Radio. Some new additions coming, things like that. But Couch, I always appreciate jumping on with you, bro. And go Rams.
Always. Yeah.
Go Rams.
Yeah,
best beard in the business, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah, definitely looking forward to the Mike Shanahan Bowl once again as we leave tonight. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, CouchCoach Live. Check out the podcast every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. Then we got the Washington Football Guys, me and my guy Rob, on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we also do the post-game show following the Washington football team game, win, lose, or draw. We'll be there on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time normally, but generally after the game. But yeah, once again, another great Overreaction Monday, man. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Much love, y'all.
We out.